All right, let's set the scene. Imagine this, a legendary battlefield. The armies are ready, the horns have been blown, but the hero of the hour, the great warrior Arjuna, is having a complete and total breakdown. You see, he's looking across the field at his own family. And this crisis? Well, it sparks one of the most profound conversations in history about reality, our duty, and who we really are. So let's really get into this moment. This is way more than just a soldier getting cold feet. Arjuna is absolutely crushed by grief. He's seeing his mentors, his cousins, his uncles on the other side, and his confusion, his sorrow, it runs so deep that it becomes the perfect starting point for these incredible philosophical teachings. And this really gets to the core question of the whole thing, doesn't it? It's a question we all face in our lives, far away from any ancient battlefield. Now, Arjuna's guide, his charioteer, Lord Krishna, doesn't just give him a quick pep talk. No, he offers a whole new way of looking at things, and it starts not with the battle, but with the mind itself. So first up, let's really dig into the sheer scale of Arjuna's crisis here. He is facing an impossible moral choice. To fight a just war, he has to kill the very people he loves and respects. This inner conflict is what sets the entire stage. Okay, so what's Krishna's first move? Well, it's a total game changer. He doesn't talk about battle strategy or the enemy. He goes right to Arjuna's feelings, teaching him how to find his balance in a world full of ups and downs. Now, this is what's so fascinating about Krishna's approach. He totally reframes these experiences. He says, look, things like heat and cold, pleasure and pain, they're not permanent realities. They just come from our senses interacting with the world. They're temporary, like the seasons. They show up and then they leave. And this leads to a really powerful idea, right? Wisdom isn't about running around chasing the good stuff and dodging the bad stuff. I mean, that's a game you just can't win. Real strength, Krishna says, comes from learning to tolerate it all, to stay steady no matter what life throws at you. And get this, here's the reward. This is the big prize for that kind of mental strength. The person who isn't shaken by pleasure or pain, who can just stay centered through it all, becomes eligible for liberation, what the Gita calls immortality. This is the very first step on the path. All right, so once Arjuna's mind is a bit more steady, Krishna drops the real core of his philosophy. He introduces this fundamental difference between what he calls the real and the unreal. And this lays it all out, crystal clear. The unreal doesn't mean it's fake, not really. It just means it's not going to last. The body, our feelings, our possessions, they all come and go. But the real, the soul, that's constant. It's unchanging. It was never born, and it will never die. So building on that, Krishna goes even deeper into what the soul actually is. Before Arjuna can understand what to do, he first has to understand who he is. Now, this is aimed right at Arjuna's grief. Krishna's basically saying, look, what you see out there on the battlefield, the bodies, they're just temporary shells. The actual person inside, this soul, that can't be destroyed, not by anything or anyone. The text uses this incredible and incredibly simple way to explain reincarnation. Think about it. The soul switching bodies, it's no more of a big deal than you changing your clothes. When one shirt gets old and worn out, you just take it off and put on a new one. The person wearing the clothes is still the same. Krishna just keeps hammering this point home. The soul, it's completely separate from the body's life cycle. It wasn't born. And here's the key for Arjuna, it cannot be killed when the body is killed. It just is, before, during, and long after its time in any one body. Just to make this absolutely 100% clear, Krishna wants to erase any shred of fear Arjuna might have left for the physical body. He explains how the soul is totally immune to anything that happens in the physical world. And he does it with this beautiful, powerful list. It just drives home how the soul is completely separate from the material realm. Weapons, fire, wind, water. No matter what you do to the body, the soul is just untouched, unharmed. Okay, this is the pivot. This is the moment it all comes together. After all this deep, spiritual teaching, Krishna brings it right back to the present moment, connecting this profound truth about the soul directly to Arjuna's crisis on the battlefield. So he puts this question on the table. It's the bridge from knowing to doing. Krishna has basically handed Arjuna a new pair of glasses to see the world. So now what? What's the logical next step based on this new understanding? And there it is, the command that just flows from everything he said. Therefore, fight. The logic is just airtight, isn't it? Since the body is temporary anyway, and the real self, the soul, can never be killed, Arjuna's grief is based on a misunderstanding of how reality works. And now Krishna introduces this key idea of svadharma, which is basically your unique, righteous duty in life, your purpose. For Arjuna, a warrior, that purpose is to fight in a just war. To run from that, that would be like running from his very reason for being. And the choice is laid out with, zero ambiguity. If he fights, he's doing his duty. And for a warrior, that's an honorable path that leads to heaven. But if he backs down, he's not just losing face, he's actively choosing a path of sin. So this is the final piece of comfort, the big summary of the whole argument. Go, do your duty, and don't grieve. Why? Because the very thing you're grieving for, the soul, can't be destroyed. Your grief is built on an illusion. And that brings it all back to us, right? This isn't just a story for some ancient warrior. It's a question for all of us, right here, right now. If you really knew deep down that your true self was eternal and couldn't be harmed, what would you stop being afraid of? What duties, what challenges would you finally have the courage to face? That's a pretty powerful thought to leave you with.